How in the world do you play Chamber? If you've recently picked up this agent, chances are you've asked yourself this question before. Chamber's unique ability kit has intrigued many players to try him out. If you're a first timer though, you likely aren't too sure of how exactly you should be using his abilities. We got you covered in this video. I'm Dr. Zora, and here are the best setups that you should be using in every map with Chamber. Let's get started. First up, we got the A site on Icebox. Set your trademarks on the edge of the middle container on the map. This helps to slow enemies down as they try to push onto the site and plant. From there, the strongest positions to place your anchors are going to be on the boost positions on the containers on site and the container at screens. Particularly with the anchor on screens, make sure it's tucked in the back corner so that enemies can't break it if they push through belt. You can then use this TP to get onto the second boost position where you can peek out into A main early for a quick pick, especially if you have a sniper. Get the kill and then you can TP out to screens. If you have a sniper, you could choose to either peek belt or tuck yourself in the corner and wait for enemies to run through your trademarks. Once they're detected, that's when you want to strike and pick them off before retreating again if need be. On the B site, you want to place your trademark smack in the middle of green so that it will detect players coming from both directions. From there, a trademark right on the edge of yellow is perfect as there's typically going to be a player that heads in that direction, and now they're going to be an easy pick. Now place your anchors onto double box on site and then yellow. This gives you a nice boost position to get a quick pick onto players pushing through B. You can then TP out and wait for your trademarks to trigger, which you can then peek again from another unexpected angle to get an additional frag before falling off. For a more defensive setup, you can replace the trademark on yellow and place it on top of the trash bags on kitchen to watch for players pushing through tube. Now place your anchor outside kitchen to prepare to cut that player off if need be. This will be close enough that the enemy will hear you, so we recommend being cautious with your peeks. You could choose to simply hold the angle to prevent them from flanking B, or perform a rather delayed peek to throw off their timing. Moving on, we got Bind. On the A site, you want to place one trademark on boxes outside shower, and then another outside A short on the stairs. The stairs position makes it just that bit trickier for enemies to try to shoot it down, while also forcing them to aim their crosshair lower and shooting at toes. Some great anchor positions are on the top of the platform at A short and then on Haven. This gives you a boost spot to surprise enemies initially. Once you get the pick, you can then teleport out to Heaven and then start challenging showers if need be. You also have the option of getting back into the action on A short to further defend there. If you don't have a sniper and are planning to play more close corridors, we suggest switching up your shower trademark and placing it more directly in line of sight with the hallway of showers. From there, place your anchor on the box where the original trademark was placed. This gives you the ability to peek down A short like we did earlier and then TP out to showers. The box gives you a good angle to pick off players that decide to further push into U-Haul or those who try to push through to the site itself. The new position for trademark makes this position more viable. If anyone shows up in showers, they will be detected early and then you can simply tuck yourself in and prepare to isolate them. Now on the B site, we recommend anchoring onto Cubby and the platform outside of Octagon. Like on A, this gives a great off angle to catch players off guard. You can challenge Octagon and also the corner of Hookah if need be. From there, you want to place trademark directly under Hookah and then in the top right corner of Octagon. This gives you the ability to use the anchors in multiple ways. You could play the boost spot, grab a pick, and then TP to Cubby to challenge players again, depending on where your trademarks detect enemies. You could also start off from Cubby to switch things up, and then TP to the boost platform to give yourself a good angle to defend Hookah. Primarily, you will defend Octagon with this setup, but the initial trademark slow gives you time to check Hookah for a bit if players drop down. For a more defensive and Hookah focused setup, you want to move trademark from the top right corner of Octagon to the back right corner. This gives less space for players to push through here. Switch your anchors to the back of sight and under Hookah now. This setup allows you to focus on players that are dropping down. Most players will be distracted by trademark being triggered, in which you can then go for that frag and TP out. From there, you can peek again to Hookah or Octagon depending on where enemies are. Haven is our next map, but before we get into that, if you want to truly improve your Valorant skills and climb up to Radiant, then you want to check out our website at skillcap.com. On our website, we have multiple comprehensive guides and courses on various aspects of the game. If you want to learn a certain agent like Chamber to the fullest level, we got that covered. Trying to get Radiant level aim, we got that covered as well, and so much more. We guarantee you'll see significant improvements quickly, so if you're interested in taking your game to the next level, the link will be provided in the description below. Our third map is Haven, which has quite a few unique setups. On the A site, you want to place your anchors in the back corner of the choke points, which will completely slow enemies that are pushing through. From there, anchor behind the middle containers and on Heaven. This first position allows you to play off of your trademarks. If any of them trigger, you can then let the enemy get slowed and then peek for an easy kill, TPing out if need be. If you TP'd, you're likely still in range where the enemy didn't fully hear where you went. Now you can peek again and challenge enemies from a new elevated angle. For a more aggressive setup, place your anchor at A long or A short at the start of the round to go for that initial peek and kill before TPing to safety. From there, you want to actually recall your anchor and set it up behind spawn. This is to allow you to TP to a safer position if the enemy decides to push back later in the round. Likely your TP will be back after you slow them down with trademark, and you can go for another safe peek in a couple of seconds. Now those setups were more isolated to one site, but Chambers anchors actually have enough range where you can access 2 sites at once. Place your anchor on the very back corner of B containers and then the other in the corner outside A short. This gives enough range for you to get into that boost position to hold down middle and B, while also having the ability to get onto the A site to help hold things down if need be. Sometimes the corner of A isn't the best if players push faster than your teammates can call it out. If the comms aren't typically the fastest from your team, a safer option is behind containers like we did earlier. Now for C, on this site you want to put your anchor on the very left of the middle container, which gives enough range to place it onto the double containers on B. The positioning for this anchor is very important. This gives you access to B containers like we did earlier, where we can go aggressively for picks and TP out afterwards. This also gives us the ability to go for off peaks on B and then immediately transfer to peeking C long. If enemies are playing default, they'll be pretty easy kills and pickings. For trademark on C, you want to place one behind garage doors and then on top of double boxes outside C long or the back corner of C long. This will stop enemies dead in their tracks, giving good time for you and your team to rotate and also get some easy additional abilities like flashes to then peek off for easy kills. Let's get into a set now, and on the A site there are a ton of boost positions you can get into with Rendezvous. Start off by placing trademarks outside A long and hat to slow enemies down. It's a pretty standard setup, and from there we want to anchor in the corner of tree and then in one of the various boost positions. We can get on top of the crates outside A long, we can get on top of Gen, or we can get on top of the double boxes in heaven. All of these are great spots that will catch enemies off guard and you have TP to safely get away. The tree anchor also gives you the ability to then follow up peeks when trademark detects an enemy. For the B site, you want to place trademark outside garage and then place the second one on top of triple. The idea for these trademarks is it's going to drastically slow down the push and allow you to get free frags. Place your anchors at spawn and then another on the back of site. These positions allow you to go for a peek at spawn once your first trademark gets triggered, fire away and then TP to the back of the site. Chances are multiple players will go through halls in which your second trademark is awaiting them. The enemies will be slowed again, making them easy shots to hit with your sniper rifle or a regular rifle. For a more all-encompassing setup to watch out for mid and B, you want to switch the trademark on site over to pizza. Now you want to anchor at logs and at spawn. Logs still gives us a good close range fight where we can peek after trademark has been triggered. From here we can also TP to escape after a pick, or if players were detected mid, this TP is good to help us fight that player and prevent them from splitting through market to B or spawn to A. Now going into the A site on Fracture. There's a great container that you can boost onto at A link on the back of site. Now for your trademarks, you want to place one behind the boxes at A main and then another in front of door after the barriers go down. This second trademark isn't going to be all that good in regards to detecting and slowing players, but it still gives you a heads up if anyone decides to go in that direction, where you can then turn around and kill them. The focal point here is going to be on drop from the boost position. You want to challenge players there first, and if you get the early pick, you can TP to site itself. You can also TP to site regardless if anyone shows up on drop if your trademark was triggered at A main. This gives you a better angle to challenge players and then take advantage of the AoE slow. For a more aggressive setup that still covers all your bases, place your trademarks in the corner of drop and then in the same box at A main. From there, set up an anchor in front of A main and then another at link. This lets you challenge A main early, especially if you have a sniper where you can shoot and TP out quickly. From there you can let your trademarks do the work, and if any of them are triggered, you know what to peek and focus your attention on. Now for the B site, you want to place your trademarks outside B main and then one inside tower. The B site is a bit tricky since you don't really have a good trademark to place for arcade at the start of the round. We found tower to be the most viable, and then having players aware and checking if enemies go the other route to B. For anchors, you want to go up on this boost position on containers and then outside B main. This lets us go aggressive like we did for the second A setup. From there you TP into a sick boost spot that you can watch both B main and arcade. You'll want to focus your attention on arcade first, and then if your teammates or trademark gets triggered on B main, you can then turn your attention there instead. For a more passive setup, you could also place trademark on top of a double box, thus giving you a sick off angle for B main that most players aren't going to be suspecting. From there you TP into the same container, which still keeps you elevated into a position that enemies won't be likely checking and pointing their crosshair towards. Transitioning onto split, a great op setup for the B site is anchoring on top of the billboard on site. After that you want to anchor onto rafters. This gives a similar off angle that players won't be suspecting, where you can get the sniper shot and then quickly back out into safety. The rafter position also gives you options to continue firing down garage or transition onto mail in heaven if need be. For the rest of the setup, you want to place a trademark outside garage and then another beside heaven for those pushing out of mail. This will help you know where to focus on if you TP out to rafters. These trademarks are also good for the second setup, where we anchor on top of the boxes outside garage, a great position to take advantage of the first trademark to distract enemies before peeking. You can then TP the same way we did earlier and utilize the trademarks to determine which choke point you want to turn your attention to. For the A site, you want to place your trademark in the corner of ramp if you plan to play aggressive there. A safer trademark is up on the mini box, where you can play in the back of heaven with it. If anyone pushes through, they'll be slowed down, in which you can then peek and snag an easy kill. On the site itself, there are multiple places you can put trademark in. You can place it in the corner of Raptor, in the corner under Raptor, or to the side of A short. All three of these are great for slowing down the short push, so we recommend switching between the three to make it harder for the enemies to predict it. From there, you want to place your anchors in the back corner of sight and on elbow. This back corner is a great off angle, especially with the A short trademark. Players will get slowed and then you can peek and snag some quick kills. Once that's said and done, you can TP the elbow and go for another peek as the enemies are now distracted and looking towards the site itself after that first play. You can also play this out the other way and position yourself at elbow first. With this, the trademarks at Raptor are much more useful where players will get detected, and then you can take advantage of the slow to grab some kills and then TP to the back corner where you have another off angle if enemies decide to continue pushing. Last but not least, we have Breeze. You'll notice that boosts are a big highlight in today's setup, and Breeze is no different. For A, place your anchors behind these 3 big boxes and then another on top of the double crates. This gives a sick off angle to get a quick pick and dip out. In regards to trademarks, there aren't really any good ones that can be placed prior to the barrier going down. Instead, we recommend placing a trademark in the corner of halls to watch for the flank. From there, wait for the barrier to drop and place a deeper trademark right on the side outside cave. This won't help us particularly with this fight on the boost. It's extremely helpful for if players decide to continue pushing cave. Now from the box position, you can peek the slowed players and get into a favorable fight since you have more mobility. You can also play more defensively behind the boxes and peek intermittently between sight and mid doors, since this setup doesn't particularly hold well for players that are pushing through middle. For players that like to be more aggressive, you can place an anchor between the double boxes on the left side of the site. From here, you can play the same boost position and then TP out after the initial fight. After that, you can wait for trademark to trigger and then peek again for some easy kills while the enemies are distracted by your trap and are now looking the wrong way. For the B site, we recommend having trademarks on either edge of tunnel and then a second one on the side of B main. This will cover all your bases for a split push onto B. From there, you want to place one anchor in the back of site closer to B main and then another anchor further in the back corner on this boost position. This gives a great off angle to challenge B main at the start of the round before TPing to a closer position where you can then wait for your trademarks to trigger before peeking again while the enemy turns in the wrong direction. If boosts aren't really your thing, another option is placing an anchor in the back corner of sight and then an anchor behind your trademark, and this awkward wall will cover you from tunnel where you can then focus on main. Particularly if you place your trademark here before, enemies will likely swing a bit too wide to clear it out, which your position will then grant you a free kill and a free TP out to safety. The back corner of sight then lets you challenge wherever need be. You can look towards tunnel or continue peeking out B main for players based on the information that you gather initially and later with your trademarks. We hope this video helped you identify some sick setups that you can make with Chamber. Try them out yourself, but also don't be afraid to deviate slightly from these setups to change your positioning based on how your enemy is playing. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below to help support us. I'm Dr. Zora. We here at SkillCap want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.